All right, welcome back. So today we're going to go over homepage, specifically getting homepage to work on remote Docker setups. So on my main server, I'm running homepage, and on my remote servers, Pudgels is my main. On Harper and Sammy, my two remotes, they are running these Dockers. So Pudgels is my local, and you can see I've got Harper and Sammy. I got CPU usage and RAM totals right here. I left room for a third row. I just don't know what I want to put there yet. You can do CPU temps, you can do hard drives, whatever. Um, so these are links as well. So you click on that, and it takes you right to it. So and you can see it says running. That is because I'm using a Docker proxy. However, without Docker proxy, you can still get all this information. Everything will still work, except it'll say something in like not accessible or a yellow dot. There'll be some kind of warning up here. It's not really annoying. It's just like, why is it not working? But Docker proxy allows you to get the actual status. Without Docker proxy, you'll still get this information, but you'll have nothing here. Well, you'll have something here, but it'll, like I say, it'll say like not available or a yellow dot. It'll be something. So forgive me if this video skips around a bit. I'm going to do my best to try to stay on track. So I'm going to start with the remote PC. All of these six services are actually running on SAMI. So on your remote server that you want to access the Dockers, now on my Docker, I have a private network. Instead of using like, on Unraid BR0 or F01 or whatever it is that I'm using, I'm actually using a custom network called Not So Private Network. So that's important because the Docker proxy needs to be on the network that your other Dockers are running on. Otherwise, it won't be able to see them either. Um, on Unraid, I'm using Docker Compose, not the actual Docker created in the app store in their little app store. So just type in Docker Compose, and this is Docker Compose Manager. That's what it is, Docker Compose Manager. Now, in this manager, when you're done, it's going to add this tab Compose to your Dockers. You're going to, let me cancel that. You're going to edit or add a new stack, give it a stack name, just like I did. I called mine DocProx. And here, wherever you want to put it. So you want like, for me, I want it on the cache drive. So MNT cache proxy is where I put it. Otherwise, it'll put it on like your boot drive or something. I forget where it puts it, but you want to make sure you tell it MNT cache or something, or where you actually want to put it on your server. Then when you're done, it'll create just an empty um, stack. So then you can edit your stack, blogs, etc. So edit stack. We're not going to use the env file, but you won't need to create one in our next setup because it'll save one anyway. So we want to do a compose file. This is your compose file right here. This is your compose. Now the one on the website, this is what you'd use right here. This part is for the other, is what we're going to do for actually setting up homepage, as you can see. But this top part here has 127.0.0.1. That did not work for me. I changed it to 0.0.0.0, and then it worked. I don't know if it's supposed to be that way or whatnot, but it works. Now, if you're not using a private network or custom network, you can remove networks here and networks down here. All right. Everything else you're going to need. So I'll link, obviously link the documents, but this right here, you can, pause the video, type this stuff in if you want, or you can go to the page and grab it yourself. But that's all you need to do with this. And then when you run it, when you save your changes and hit compose up, or what is it? Compose up -D or something when you're using command line. And then it'll just create your Docker right here. And you've got your logs. Don't really need them. Glances is what gives me this. Now, Glances is overwhelming and it's pretty cool. It is very, very overwhelming. Information overload, but it tells you everything you need to know, and anything Glances has access to, you can access through homepage. So it lets you take all that information and kind of organize it any way you want. And like I said, I'm just using this right here like this because I'm good with that. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Okay, so now we have our remote server set up. You have your Docker proxy running. You're good with that. Awesome. So let's move to our main PC that we want to access SAMI with. So you're going to add a new stack just like before. Give it a name. I called mine homepage. Give it a directory. Make sure you put it where you want it. And I put mine in MNT cache homepage. So if I went into my cache drive, there's a folder called homepage. Inside this folder, you need to create a config folder. You can do what mkdir and create a config folder inside here, or on Unraid, you hit create, or whatever it is you need to do, but you need a config folder. Inside this config folder, it will fill it out itself, except the env file. I put it in the wrong place. It needs to be it needs to be in the config, unless you're using like Unraid, where it puts it automatically in the homepage folder and the root folder. Anyway, put it in both places just in case. It doesn't hurt. So anyway, it'll fill all these in when you run it the first time. So for right now, you should only have config and a Docker Compose YAML in here because you hadn't created the env yet. Now, we're going to go over the config. So we're going to edit the stack, compose file. Now, take the one you had from the remote server, copy and paste it right up into here. If you have a different network on this PC like I do, or this server, change the network here, and you're going to add networks at the end of all this. Because first you have your services, which is Docker proxy and homepage, and then you have your networks. Okay, so this is simple because that's exactly what you just did on the other server. So now for homepage, there's a couple changes. Well, yeah, 2 changes you need to make. This, you're going to add the PC that you are currently on, this network. You need to put in this PC that this is running on. Otherwise, it will not, you won't be allowed. I mean, it's homepage allowed networks. So, or a host. It won't work unless you tell it that this is the host. Now for volumes, this actually says right here, when you first install it or copy and paste this in, it'll say path to /config. So it's MNT cache homepage for me. And then it's /app config, when it's actually running the Docker and stuff. And I added images folder, which is, I don't think it's app public. I think it's just app images, homepage images. Yeah, I think so. I'm going to delete that. Okay. So anyway, so now we got that. I'm going to save. Yeah. And then, yeah. Okay. So for the PUID and PGID, you get those by whatever machine you're on. You go to terminal, just hit ID, and they're right here. The UID and GID. They're going to be different for you, probably. You could have 150 or 150 or 200s, yeah, whatever. Now, the reason these are string PUID and string PGID is because I put them in the env folder. Now, if you did that, so these right here, I'm not going to open my env folder because my env folder or my env file actually has my passwords and everything in it. So if we pretend that this is a env file, your first 2 lines are going to look just like this. Now, the 0 is my PUID and PGID, the ones we just got from terminal. Yours could say, 150, whatever those numbers are, is where you're going to put there. This is the first 2 lines of your env file. That's all you need. And that'll fix your env, and that'll allow this to access that remotely, and you're good. So I'm going to bring that down real quick. Now we're going to bring it back up. And then home page. I mean, it's a really quick load. It's back up and running already. Okay. So we just did our stack, right? Yeah. Oh, I forgot what change it was. I was like, hey, I just want to make this change. Oh, that's right. I changed that. So anyway, okay. So that's all you need to do for this. That, again, is this whole thing right here. And here it is, path to config. And I added the line for the images. All right. Now we also have a Docker YAML. All right. So now that we've got this done, we've started homepage. Homepage is going to come up very generically. You know, it's going to come up with just group 1, group 2, group 3, and this developer bar is going to be right underneath it. This is going to say, oh God, what's it going to say? DuckDuckGo. It's going to have an image for DuckDuckGo. The weather's not going to be here. This date's not going to be here, but I think the time will be there. So it's going to be very, very, very bland. So we're going to fix that here. So the first thing we're going to do, though, is absolutely nothing. Where are we? Okay, so inside my homepage folder, we have the config. So for me, all I did was first we're going to start with our settings. Our settings YAML. Now I can't open this here. So what I did is I downloaded them. In my setting, if you're using a command line, you can just use nano, vim, whatever you like, and open it up as a text, and you're fine. In my case, I had to download it, and then I just opened them up separately. Oops. So I'm going to go is we want settings. So here's settings. So I don't really need this. I've added the open weather map at another location. So the first thing I did was change the title, which you can see not so awesome dashboard. So it was very simple to change. You can change that very easily right here with that command. Header style, boxed widgets. I'm assuming that's what makes it look like a box like this. I'm not sure if that's how it does it, or I haven't tried running it without it. I just figured just leave it alone. You can play with these settings for the background. You can add web links. You should be able to just type like /images/ an image, or I think it's just / the image name. I think I haven't messed with it too much. You'd have to look at the docs. For right now, I just chose an image off the internet and then did the blur, saturate, brightness, opacity, so that way I can see my stuff without it looking all nasty behind it. And then comes the layout. There's a lot of things you can do with the layout. I kept mine extremely simple just for the purposes of this video to make it easier to understand, but you can create tabs where you can put like all these things, like you can line these up, this whole thing vertical, and then put a tab, say servers. Put a tab over here that says like streaming, and put this underneath it, and a tab over here that says R, right? And then you click on each tab and it'll open them all up down here in one page. But that's, if you want to get more advanced. So for right now, my layout. The first part is the group name, Pudgels, Harper, and Sammy. Then comes the style. I chose columns instead of rows, so I wanted to go vertical with it. And then we gave it 3 columns. So there's actually room for one more box underneath here. As you can see, before it gets streaming, there's room for another box. That's it. It was that simple. In order to use this reference, though, so you can get these headers. So if you save this, you go to save, you would go over here. But here, we'll make a change. That way you can see it happen. We'll turn the brightness up to 65, and we're going to saturate it a little less. We'll go 35, and we'll only do 20% opacity. So there's a change in the background. So right now, obviously it didn't make a change. You can see what it looks like here. So I go over to the server, and this is settings YAML, right? That's the one we're working on, settings. So in your case, if you're just using the command line, using Vim, Nano, whatever, you can just hit save and it'll immediately change it. In my case on Unraid, I have to delete it. And then I upload the one I just made a change to, and the change is instant. You can see it's a little brighter. You can kind of see the background a little more. It's a little washed out here, but you can see that it makes the change immediately. So I'm going to set it back. Save. And it's a bit of a pain to have to do it this way because, you can't just, have a command line open, make changes and save it and check. You have to do this each time. You can see now you can see how dark it is. So you can see how easy it is to make a change. So this is a basic setting. This will get you started, something you can play with. Now, widgets. All right. Widgets are these things across the top. So I don't have an icons folder. Let's save that. So anyway, don't worry about these. These are commented out. I was playing around with something across the top. So this is the date, time, and date and time. This is how you get this right here. These are widgets. These are actual things built in, like apps built into this app already. The search bar, here it says DuckDuckGo. I changed it to Google, and it changes it to a G right there. The open weather map is what is over here. You give it a label, Central Florida. You have to give it a latitude and longitude. I used Imperial. Open weather map. This is how you would create a variable to be used in the .env. So this is your variable right here. So in your env, underneath the PUID, PGID, you would add this line, and you would go like equals, and then whatever your secret key is. You wouldn't add these, just homepage var, but it has to say homepage var, just like this, and then anything you want behind it. But it must say this, otherwise it won't use it. I ran into that too, and that's not specified exactly easily to find. Time in minutes to cache was like every 4 hours or something for me, something like that. And then maximum fraction digits 1. So anyway, so open weather map, when you sign up for your free account and you get your API key, it'll take 15-20 minutes for it to populate. You'll get an API error up here and you'll be like, what did I do wrong? And I spent like 20 minutes looking, and then suddenly it just worked. And come to find out, it took it a while to actually activate my API key. So glances. This is how you do glances on as a widget. Now you can see I got my glances working, but they're commented out, and I'll explain how to use glances as a service, even as a widget in the services. So I'll leave this here so that way you guys can see how it's supposed to look like if you want to use it as a widget instead. So that's what it'll look like. So yeah, so there's other widgets you can add. I'll leave that up to you. Again, it's going to be over at the Docker homepage. Services, comes the fun stuff. All right, so Emby. So I gave it a title, streaming. See, dash streaming. It's called Emby, and it's a media server, which is the right here, the media server. It has a built-in icon called MBPNG. Again, on their website, there's a bunch of built-in icons you can use, like Jelly Sear and Radar, Sonar, Jacket, all kind of them. So there's a lot, so you won't have to pretty much add your own. There's a whole bunch. Okay, container. This is the name of the container itself. So it's actually over here called Emby. So like this is called BinHex Prowler, not just Prowler, it's BinHex-Prowler. So you have to have the name of the actual thing. I'm sitting here like flipping all over the place. Let me get back to that, bring that back up. You have to have the actual name of the Docker itself. All right. Now, this is for the service. This is how to get this looking like this. Now, you want to tell it it's a widget. So I could put this as a widget on my widgets page, but I lose the ability to really organize it because widgets just get placed in the order in which they're listed. If you do it this way, it allows you to organize it underneath headings and titles and rows and columns and all that stuff. So the widget type is Emby. This is a line that is missing in most of the setups you see. Server Sammy. I forgot how to tell you to put those in there. I'll show you that in a little bit. Just keep that in mind. That put the name of the server that you want to call it right here. All right, the URL to the actual service itself, your internal network. And again, you can see I got another the API key. This is I got another variable. All that is this is what goes inside your env file, and then you're going to put equals and then your key. And then the rest of this stuff, and it'll show up like this. So if I start streaming or someone logs in and starts streaming, it'll tell me what they're streaming and how far into the show they are. And everything else is set up the same. These are pretty much, like this stuff obviously doesn't apply to Jellyseer, but you can see that everything else is pretty much the same. What is it? One of them, QBitTorrent, has username, password down here, but these were just copy and paste. You got Jellyseer, server Sammy, Jellyseer, internal request seer, Jellyseer. It's the same. Now this part here is what gets me this, the part that says running or healthy, etc. This is going to use the reverse proxy once I show you how to add that to the Docker YAML, not to the compose file, but a Docker YAML file. But anyway, you can see that these are just the same. These are, radar, sonar, Jellyseer, Prowler, they're all the same. Now the calendar is a cool one. You can change the colors here, purple and violet. But the colors, they actually tell you when shows are coming out. This tells me there's, shows coming out. See? So on the 30th, we're getting season 4 of The Witcher. On Tuesday the 4th, we're getting The Curse of Oak Island, the new season, So yeah, that's pretty cool that the calendar can tell you what's when your shows are coming out. So that's really nice. And this is how you see the calendar. So the integrations, which are optional, you don't have to integrate with anything. You can just have calendar, and it'll just put a calendar on the screen. But I've got it integrated with type sonar. That's the title. It's not this down here, the container. It's type right here. It's sonar. See, type sonar. So I don't know what'll happen if I added Prowler. I don't think it would do anything if I added Prowler. But anyway, then you just give it a color. The group name is the the header that you gave it, R. This is glances. So for Puzzles, we have CPU usage, which is right here. I'm calling up a widget. I'm calling up the glances widget. You have to put version 4. If not, it defaults to version 3, and it won't work. You put in the URL that the Docker is running on, and then you give it the metric CPU, and then I got chart false. I don't know what'll happen if I say chart true. I haven't used it. You know what? Let's change it to true and see what happens. I haven't even tried that. So this is services YAML. So I'll change that just by doing this. Going here to services, deleting it, uploading services. There we go. No, it's actually charting it. Cool. So you see how easy it is to make a change as well. You just if you were using a command line and you were in Nano or something, and the moment you hit save, boom, you'd have a change. So that's actually pretty cool. Don't know if I'll keep it that way, but I'll leave it that way for a little bit, see if I like it. But Harper and Sammy, those are direct copies. All I did was change the IP address. With Sammy, I had to change the port, which is a very simple process. And then we did pictures, and I didn't integrate that with like server Sammy or anything. Although it's running on Harper, I wanted to make sure that I could still connect to it without doing the whole Docker proxy, which you can do this without Docker proxy. You would just actually just leave this part out, and you wouldn't get this running. You would just get a yellow, a little this tiny, but it would just be a little yellow error or warning, not connectable, not available, whatever it is. So that's how easy that is. So that is this setup here. Now, the one thing I forgot to show was here in Pudgels. Yes, in Pudgels, you have a Docker YAML right here. So we have to edit that Docker YAML right here. Forgot about that. Not sure if I needed to add that, but I did anyway. But go ahead and make sure you do it as well, just in case. But you want to add your Docker socket, and then you're telling it what Harper and Sammy is as well, and what port it's going to use to access them. This allows it to go through that Docker proxy onto that local network and do discovery. So that's the part I left out at towards the beginning, which you needed to use, and I ended up doing it at the end. So if you did the whole settings thing, you're like, and then the servicer's like, all right, cool. And then you're getting API errors and stuff's not working, or you're getting the yellow warnings or whatever. You're like, what the hell's going on? Nah, it's because I forgot to do this. Now, it is very important to pay attention to the spacing. One space will throw you off completely. So what you want to do is there is a YAML checker right here. So what you would do is, if you're getting a warnings error saying, oh, it's not working, or you're getting some faults and whatnot, you can do this. So let's, hold on. Let's do this, right, like that. So it keeps giving you a warning telling you there's a spacing problem. You're trying to load it up and it keeps saying there's a spacing problem, there's an issue. Well, you can paste it in here, and of course that's going to say valid YAML. It's actually not. It needs to have that space, or that space can't be there. Leave it to me to try to show you something that doesn't work. There you go. See, it'll put an arrow like this, and you'll see that same thing in the log. If you can pull up your logs, or in my case, since I am using Unraid and I don't know your settings, I would go to homepage and I would go to logs, and here it would actually show that there's a problem. So let's see what that actually looks like. So we added the space here, and then I added that space there. So we're going to save that, and this is services YAML. So we're going to go over to Pudgels. We're going to take services. We're going to delete it. We're going to upload this services. And you can see right here. Now, I didn't have to pull up the log for this because it showed it right away. I think it shows it in the log too. Yeah, it shows it in the log too. See, it shows you right here. It's pointing right to the error or to the problem. So if we fix that one issue, I know we made two issues, but it's showing, where is it showing? Icon. So it's showing right here. Wait, which one is it showing? Jelly Sear. Oh, there it is. So you have to kind of know what you're looking at, but yeah, we know that that's going to fix that problem because we made it. But keep an eye on spacing, so you can take a look at this. Now, if you want to see if things are lined up, you can hold Shift and Alt, and you can do this. Shift Alt and then just left mouse button drag down, and you can see what's lined up where, and that'll help you line things up as to where they need to be. Now, we know we still have a problem with this one, at least we should. If we don't, great. But I think we should still have a problem because of that one extra space I added, but it may not actually work. You may be able to have a couple spaces past it. It may have been this that's space by the colon. Okay, so yeah, that spacing by the colons, or after the colon, is okay right here. Actually, it looks like there's 2 spaces on each one of these anyway. I thought this space would actually throw a problem, but apparently it doesn't. But anyway, you get the idea. I know that kind of backfired on me when I tried to show you something as simple as that. And Sublime will do that. You just hit cancel and you can keep using it. Oops, I don't want to save as, I just want to save it. So, all right. So anyway, that should be the setup. You should be good with that. That'll get you this right here. Most of you out there are probably running these services right here. Now you can add Jacket as well, but it's really nice to have all this information right here. And like I said, with the streaming, you've got other options. You can enable media control. It'll enable user, tells you the user, I don't know if I want media control. I guess I could stop somebody else that's playing something. But anyway, these are also links, and that's where the href comes into right here. That turns it into a link. And then you tell it what you want it to open. In my case, of course, I want it to open the actual service, which is why you see the URL twice. So there you go. This should get you started. And the reason I made this one is because it took me over a day to figure out how to get this Docker proxy and get the services working correctly where it would show running and healthy and stuff. And there was no like one video that showed how to do this as a setup. And I know this video is a little scattered, but if you just pause the video, take a look at the title, that I have highlighted up here, or the tab selected, and then you can just pause the video and you can copy. You'll have to type in manually, but you can type in this stuff here, and this will get you looking just like this. Keep in mind, obviously, the IP addresses are going to be different. So there you go. I went through all the tabs again, and we're going to go through. I'm going to pull up the compose again. So again, this part here goes on any remote server, and networked is only there if you have a custom private network. And then here's the rest of it right here, and this is for homepage itself. If you're not using remote services, you can do just this, and you can even comment out this line right here. So there you go. Hopefully this will get you up and running a little faster than it got me. I'm sorry for the video jumping around and probably not looking the best, but have a good one.